All right. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. So today we're on our last of the 4Ps. It's the last one, promotion. So here I'm calling it marketing communications, and we'll talk a bit more about why I'm calling it communications over the course of this lecture. But yeah, after today, kind of the main content of the course is done. So I'll talk more at the end of the lecture about basically what we can expect for the next few weeks, give you a bit of a chance to ask questions as well about the presentation. So let's get right into it. So we have time for that. So here I have a picture of what looks like a gold tablet. It's got some Chinese characters written on it. And I was just wondering if any of you in the audience kind of knows sort of the old style, the non-simplified traditional Chinese characters. It can tell us what this tablet is about. What is written on this tablet? Right, CJ says something about needles. Yeah, so that's right. It's an advertisement for Jinan Liu and their fine needle shop. And they have some nice they have some kind of nice advertising copy here. So some nice words. We buy high quality steel rods and we make fine quality needles to be ready for use at home in no time. Right. So this is kind of the earliest known print advertisement that we have a record for. It dates to about 1,000 years ago. In general, right, what is this an example of? Well, advertising is any paid form of non-personal presentation and promotion of ideas, goods, or services by an identified sponsor, right? So it could be a firm like this one, basically paying to have these, prints made. It's not them telling you one-on-one, it's impersonal, right? And clearly it's kind of being paid for, right? There's some cost to doing this, right? So advertising is this paid form of non-personal presentation, tons of spending on advertising. Globally, over $500 billion. Canada alone, it's quite large. And then some of the biggest multinationals, it's almost as big as an entire country like Canada. So advertising is just one part of managing marketing communications. So Arian asks, why is it called non-personal? So I guess personal would be something one-to-one, right? So personal selling is something I asked you guys to read about, and we'll come back to when we discuss the Tesla case. But if it's non-personal, that means like seeing a billboard, seeing a TV ad, right? That's not like being communicated to you directly from a person to you. It's impersonal, right? It's not direct person to person. So advertising is one part of managing marketing communications. And like with everything else in this course, managing communications is itself a process. We start from sort of high-level strategic decisions. The first thing we want to do is determine communication objectives. We'll talk about what those look like. Then you want to identify your target audience. At this stage in the marketing process, in the overall process, you should have an idea of what your target audience is. So I'm not going to talk too much about that today. Next, you kind of move on to execution. So designing your particular message that you want, that you think will help you achieve your objectives, and then choosing your media and promotional mix. So there's two elements there: media, promotional mix. Media, that's like, are you going TV ads? Are you going, print? Are you going digital? Promotional mix. Advertising is just one part of your promotional mix. There's also personal selling. And then there's things like sales promotion, public relations, and direct marketing, right? So you want to choose both the media and how you want to balance your spending across these 5 different categories of promotion. Next, you kind of determine your budget. You decide how much money you want to spend or how you want to spend that money. And we're not going to talk too much about that today because that's a really tough problem that you could teach a whole course about. So we'll come back to that a little bit later and do a few small examples of what that looks like. But it's too big a question to think about covering just in one part of a lecture today. At the end, you do your validation. So you measure, you collect feedback. You want to see, I was trying to communicate. I was trying to achieve a certain objective. Did it work, right? So let's start by talking about those communication objectives. Typically we think of communication and advertising as encouraging us to buy or to engage with a company's products, right? That's always the objective, but how does it do that? Well, at a minimum, in order to achieve any objective, every piece of communication should get the attention of your target market, right? Once you have the attention of your target market, then you think, okay, what else should the piece of communication do? But if you don't have people's attention, then there's no way to achieve any further objective, right? So definitely need to get their attention. And then what else? So let's look at some ads to think about what possible objectives these ads might be trying to achieve. So here we have an ad for dental floss, where at the very top it says stop and think, you want the best. Then it gives you the brand name and the product. And then it provides a bunch of descriptions and pictures of this dental floss, right? So when we look at this advertisement for dental floss, it looks very different compared to a modern ad. And so we ask ourselves, what's the purpose of this advertisement? What is this advertisement trying to do? So stop and think, it's trying to get our attention. Okay, it's got it. And now that we're looking at it, what is it trying to do? How is it trying to get us to buy this product? Good, it's communicating features. So it's providing information. What else is it doing, if anything? It says each and every feature is an improvement in a material. Good, so communicating price. Perfect, so providing information that people would want to know. Introducing the product, providing information, yeah. So in general, we might think this ad's main purpose is to inform us about the features, about the price, about the existence of the product, right? When we see it saying everything about this product is an improvement, we might also think it's trying to sort of convince us that this is, a better product than anything else that's out there, right? That it's, it offers a superior benefit, right? So it's trying to inform us, and maybe it's trying to persuade us a little bit to buy this product over a different product. Okay, so here's another advertisement. This one looks very different. This is a much more recent advertisement. So before I reveal what product this is, can anyone guess what does this ad look like it might be for in terms of a product? What product is this advertising? Yeah, so maybe it's for your skin, right? So it's kind of gross, but yeah, maybe like it cleans blackheads or whatever. Skincare, seedless fruit, kiwis, shampoo flavor, right? A nice kiwi. OGM. I don't know what OGM is, but these are all good guesses, but actually this is, you see in the bottom right, Colgate. This is also dental floss. This is dental floss as well, right? So when we look at this for a thing, we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's kind of clever. It's getting all the little seeds out of the fruit. We'll get stuff out of your teeth, right? Very different style of ad compared to the previous one. So let's think, what purpose does this advertisement serve, right? It's trying to get your attention. It's kind of doing it in a different way. And it's trying to get you to buy dental floss. But what's the objective here? Is it to inform? Is this ad trying to convey information about kind of the quality of the product? Yeah, so maybe, so Jiacheng says not really. Like we can definitely say that this is not informative in the way that the previous ad was informative, right? It does not provide a ton of details about the products, right? What's the reason that we get that this is an ad about dental floss once we see in the bottom right? Because we understand what dental floss does, how it works, what it's supposed to do, right? We already kind of know all the things, and we probably already know the Colgate brand, right? So when we think about this ad, it's probably not doing too much informing or persuading, but maybe it's reminding us, right? It's bringing this product to the front of our minds, right? So why would there be such different advertising for these products, which are the same product doing the same thing, dental floss? Why is the advertising so different? So Albert says different functions in use, which I disagree with. They're both dental floss, right? They're both trying to clean out from between your teeth. So this one is grabbing your attention. Now this one is a much more recent ad, right? This is a very old ad. Like you can tell that this is old. This is a much newer ad. So why is the new ad for the same product so different? Jeremy says they're from different eras. Indeed. Maybe it's more attractive, get the people looking to think a bit more. Arian, we'll just do it in chat for now. Maybe it's easy to understand. So yeah, maybe this thing about kind of grabbing people's attention, which one grabs your attention in a better way? This one or this one? I think this one, it tries to do it directly. It's just like stop and think. This one, you actually look at it and you do stop and think. You're like, oh, what's this about, right? So this one is more creative and it's able to get your attention in a better way. That's important because these days you see a lot more ads than you would have seen back in the original ad days. So there's a lot more competing for your attention. So it's better at getting your attention. And Ariane says this is because people already know what dental floss is, right? People already know the product. You don't need to explain it. So these kind of two things, better at getting your attention, and it's for a mature product category. Right? And we see that this kind of pattern of less informative advertising is true in other industries as well. Right? We have this ad from cars, which we saw very early on in the semester, and compared to the most recent ads from Toyota or Lexus, this has a ton of information, a ton of text, right? Not very good at getting your attention, but much better at conveying a ton of information. So we have kind of three advertising objectives: inform and persuade. We saw with this first ad, remind. We saw with the second ad with the Kiwi. So we have these different types of objectives. These are three main advertising objectives. A single advertisement can serve multiple objectives, right? The New Era ad both informs and tries to persuade, right? These are also very broad classifications. Severin asks, does the kind of first, or does this Kiwi ad only work if people already have an idea about this company? Yes. That's why it's got to be kind of a reminder, has to be the goal. They need to already know what this product is and what the company does, and maybe even stuff like where to find it and how much it might cost, right? You're taking all that for granted. So within each category, we have different subcategories. So if you're trying to have an informative communication objective, Well, it could also be even more specific, right? You might explain how the product works, like we saw with New Era, informing the market of the price. We saw that too. Could be suggesting new uses, describing available services. So kind of anything here. Similarly, persuasive advertising can persuade in a variety of different ways, right? So with New Era, we saw they were saying, this is the best, it's better than anything else that's out there. So you might be encouraging switching to New Era from the other brands of dental floss, or persuading consumers to purchase right now, right? So maybe two smaller sub-objectives. Persuasive advertising always has sort of a competitive connotation, right? You're always thinking, people could be doing something else. They could be buying this same product from a different brand, but I want them to buy it from me, right? So if you're persuading, it's in a competitive context. Lastly, reminder advertising. So this is about maintaining relationships or reminding consumers where to buy, or even just keeping the brand in consumers' minds, right? Sort of reminding people by repetition. So Ariane, I don't want to say that these are three different types of advertising. These are three different communication objectives, right? You can serve these objectives. You don't have to advertise. You could be doing, say, public relations or direct marketing. So these are just the objectives. For a firm, depending on where their product is in its life cycle, right? A new product will probably be wanting to inform more than anything else, right? Where a mature product will probably be wanting more to remind than anything else, right? So it's really about kind of the objective, like what you want to do for your target customer. And we'll talk about maybe how different advertising plans online can help serve these different objectives, but it doesn't have to be advertising. Yeah, if you're thinking like, what is the key difference is basically in the context of your specific marketing problem, what do you think is the best thing to do when you're trying to reach out to consumers? Which of these three objectives makes the most sense, given your target market, given your competitors, etc. So we can think of promotions as communication, right? The title of this lecture is Marketing Communications. We can think of the firm being a sender, and they're sending a message to a receiver, right? To create that message, you encode it, right? The encoding can be very little, right? Like with New Era, it was just a block of text, or it can be quite a detailed sort of thing like with the Kiwi, right? Where it's not clear what that is at first, and the receiver needs to kind of understand to decode the message, right? So when we think of sort of marketing as a communication, or when we think of promotions as a communication process, one key thing is, how is our receiver going to understand the symbols and the text that we're using to communicate our message, right? So let's take a look at a few examples. So here we have an advertisement, and we can see bottom right, it's from McDonald's. So what's the meaning of this ad is the first question I have for you. Yeah, so probably free Wi-Fi, because the fries are making the Wi-Fi symbol. And what's that as an objective? What objective is this advertisement serving? Inform, persuade, or remind? See a lot of people typing fries for some reason. So I'm seeing a lot of inform and a lot of remind, right? If you didn't know that McDonald's has free Wi-Fi, now you know. If you already knew, it's reminded you, right? Depending on which sort of target market, people who are kind of already familiar with McDonald's restaurants or people who aren't, your ad could be serving different objectives. but yeah, inform and remind. All right, and what about this one? So we have Coca-Cola. And what is this ad? What's the meaning here? And then what's the marketing objective? Cold drink at the beach, right? So these are flip-flops. You'd wear them at the beach, slippers, being relaxed. But that's really interesting, right? So some people might say, oh, this is about being summer at the beach because I wear flip-flops at the beach. Some people might say, oh, this is just about relaxing because I wear flip-flops when I relax, right? In both cases, maybe it's about summer, feeling cool and having a Coke, right? Drinking a Coke to cool down. Okay, so we've kind of decoded the message. And now what's the objective? What's Coke's objective with this ad? Yeah, definitely remind. Right? We all know Coke. We know what they do. This is just reminding us that, you know, it's nice to have a cool Coke in the summer. All right, let's take a look at this one. So let me ask you also, which company is this an ad for? What's the meaning? And then what's the objective? So I'm seeing Puma and Adidas. Puma over Adidas. Yeah. So this is a Puma ad. Actually, to be honest, I think this is a photoshopped ad because Puma is not allowed to use Adidas logos. You know, they're trademarked, they're copyrighted. So I think this is a photoshopped ad, but we see the Puma logo leaping over the Adidas logo, right? So in the bottom right, you see prevail the jump of Puma. So this is a Puma shoe, right? So the meaning probably is that Puma is superior to Adidas. And the objective, we could probably say is informative, persuasive, or reminder. Which of the three? Yeah, this feels like maybe, let's see a few more answers. Yeah, persuade. So kind of comparing the two products and saying you should buy the Puma, that feels like a persuasive objective, right? You want to persuade Adidas customers to buy Puma shoes, right? So let's look at an example here. So this is a real ad. This is not a photoshopped ad. So which company paid for this ad? What's the meaning and what's the objective? So some people say McDonald's, most say Burger King. So this is a Burger King ad, right? And what's the meaning? Yeah, Burger King ad showing McDonald's buying their products. How do we know? So Jeremy writes McDonald's buying their products. How do we know that this is kind of a Burger King ad saying, oh, you know, they're better than McDonald's? Yeah, McDonald's goes to Burger King. So this guy in the trench coat is the McDonald's character, the clown. He even, you know, the clown from McDonald's goes to Burger King, right? That's kind of the message there. This is allowed. You can't really trademark a clown like this, so this is okay. And this is definitely a persuasive style of advertisement, right? So in both of these cases, we have encouraging switching to your brand, generally thought of as a form of persuasive advertising. Now, this usually involves a lower market share brand comparing itself to a higher market share brand, right? Puma versus Adidas, Puma is smaller. Burger King versus McDonald's, Burger King is smaller. When you have these persuasive ads, they almost always appear as the little guy trying to take market share from the bigger guy, right? That makes sense as an objective because the bigger company has more customers, right? So by definition, so it's cost effective to try to take some of their customers, right? Whereas for a big company, it's not very cost effective. If all of your competitors are smaller than you, you know, why are you trying to target Burger King's few customers when they're so much smaller, right? So you almost always see it going from small to big. Is this kind of ad allowed? The one on the right is allowed. because there's no kind of trademark infringement or anything like that. The one on the left would not be allowed because there's trademark infringement. That's the only thing. You just can't infringe on trademarks. That's what's legally protected. Certainly, you can advertise to try to take business from other companies, right? That's just competition, and the government has no problem with that. It's just legal infringement that the government has a problem with that you're not allowed to do. So here we have an ad from Audi advertising one of their cars, the A4. Audi is kind of saying to BMW, oh, it's your move. Audi and BMW are pretty similarly sized automakers. They sell pretty comparable number of cars in North America. So BMW decides to buy a billboard themselves, sort of like fight back. Here we see an instance of two companies that are roughly equal in size, kind of going head to head, which is something that can happen with persuasive advertising if the companies are too similar in size, right? If they're too similar, then they might kind of incite an advertising war. Best case scenario, that generates positive buzz and people just buy more of everything. Worst case scenario, neither company benefits. They've just spent a lot of money and they're back to where they were, right? Yeah, so the first two, the Audi and the BMW, the Checkmate ad, those are real. These next two are photoshopped. So, an Audi fan put, I guess the R8 here, and then the BMW fan added some more Photoshop and they added the Formula One. Yeah. So that's kind of a caution with comparative advertising. Okay. When you're choosing that as your objective, be careful. If you're too similar in size to a competitor, if you're very small, you're probably fine to do persuasive objectives, right? You're not going to incite them to come and try to crush you. Okay. So it's kind of the promotions, it's the advertising class. So of course, we're going to get to watch a few little videos. So let me make sure I'm sharing my sound. And I'm going to play it for a few seconds. Just tell me if it's too loud, if you can all hear it okay. Is that okay for everyone? All right, great.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Barney.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Bonjour.
Hi.
How you doing there? Yellow.
Hello.
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 Yo, yo.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so that was a very exciting ad when it first came out. What's the company? What's the product? What's the ad? What's the meaning? What's the objective? Yeah, Apple. And it's the iPhone. Which iPhone? Four, three. How about, yeah, one? This is the original. It's first iPhone. And what's the meaning? Did anyone recognize any of the people saying hello? Who are all these people? TV shows and movies, yeah. Lots of clips from Oscar-winning movies, yeah. So these are all kind of like big Hollywood movies and kind of like popular TV shows, right? Yeah, meaning you can use the iPhone to communicate, right? You can communicate together. And what's the objective? Isabella says maybe to remind. And then I also see some inform. Yeah, this is the iPhone 1. This is totally brand new. No one's ever seen a phone like this before. They're foremost informing that this is a phone. It doesn't look like a phone, but it works like a phone. You can use it to communicate. And, it's an Apple product. All right, so let's watch the next one. All right, adorable. So Arian says, inform that it's also suitable to drink in the winter, right? So we have Coca-Cola. And then Albert says it reminds you to pick up a bottle of Coca-Cola. Severin says, inform that Coca-Cola is a cold, refreshing drink. Coca-Cola brings happiness. Yeah, so that's kind of the meaning, right? Coca-Cola brings happiness, brings people together, share the happiness, right? And the objective, yeah, it does seem to be a reminder, right? So a reminder that, Coke is good for the holidays, right? So somehow Coke is good for every time of the year, right? They're best for the summer, they're best for the winter. That's funny how that worked out. Awesome. So let's move on. So those were some of our objectives, our kind of marketing objectives: inform, persuade, remind. One slide on internal marketing. So remember, we sometimes need to market to our own employees, because if we're providing a service, the quality of that service is linked with the people who are providing it, right? Inseparability. So we need to incentivize those employees to act in the company's interest. That is always our internal marketing objective, right? Okay. These three objectives, inform, persuade, remind, are kind of old school. These days, we have much more data-driven communication objectives. So what I have here is labeled as the marketing and sales funnel. So the marketing and sales funnel should look somewhat familiar, right? It should look somewhat similar to the buyer's decision process. So at the top, we have awareness and problem recognition. Then we go to interest and information search. Then we go to consideration. And we also have this sort of intent and commitment. Then we go to conversion. And then we go to sort of loyalty and post-purchase behavior. That looks a lot like the decision process, right? Need recognition, information search, consideration of alternatives, purchase, post-purchase, right? So what's different here? Well, so the idea behind this funnel is sort of the different sizes at each stage represent sort of the size of the market at that stage, right? There's a lot of people potentially who could become aware and sort of recognize that they need this problem or this product. But then of those people, only a few of them are going to be interested and search for information. And of those people, only a few of them are going to actually consider alternatives. And then of those people, only a very few are going to actually think about purchasing, right? And finally, of the ones who purchase, only a few of them are going to come back and purchase again. So at every stage of the decision process, we're kind of losing a certain number of people, right? So modern marketing objectives focus on moving people through the sales funnel, right? So moving people from awareness to information search, or moving people from consideration to purchase. And the reason we can be so detailed with these objectives is because we have the data now, right? We can observe consumers at each stage, right? For instance, if I know that a consumer has seen an ad, I know that they're now aware. So if my objective is to increase awareness, I can tangibly measure how much extra awareness I've created based on the number of ads that people have seen, right? Similarly, if my objective is to get people to go from consideration to commitment, my objective might be, okay, I want people who are on my website to put stuff into their shopping cart, right? I want more people putting stuff in their shopping cart. Whether or not they buy it yet, I'm not too worried about, but I want that sort of intention, right? Conversion and purchase. Conversion is another way of saying we convert a potential customer into an actual customer. So conversion is another word for purchase. Loyalty and advocacy, that's kind of the repeat purchase. That's our post-purchase behavior. Right. So most modern marketing strategies will be focused, at least ones that use a digital campaign, will be focused on moving people through the funnel in a measurable way. There's basically two big groups of consumers we can think about. One are the consumers we need to attract, right? Consumers who have not bought the product yet. They've never engaged with the product before. So attraction objectives focus on kind of moving people through those first 5 stages of the funnel. They can be things like boosting engagement, right? So increasing the number of website visits, increasing brand awareness. So the number of people who, have seen an ad for the brand. Whether your attraction objective is successful just depends on which of those key performance indicators or KPIs you choose, right? If your key performance indicator is, I want more people to put things in their shopping cart, then your marketing, that's your objective. Your marketing communications will focus on trying to achieve that objective, right? Increasing conversions per visit. That's, of all the people who visit my website or who use my app, I want to increase the number of people who end a visit with a purchase, right? These are our attraction objectives. The other type of group of consumers are repeat buyers, people that we want to retain. The way that we conceptualize these guys, because they're kind of that very bottom of the waterfall, they look like a small group, but actually they can be the most important group, right? Because they've already shown that they're willing to buy. So we typically look at them and we analyze them using this revenue waterfall, right? This is a very common tool for companies that are trying to analyze their revenue change from one year to the next. What we have is our starting revenue on the left. That's this 100%. On the far right, this net retention, that is all the revenue we earn from those people who were in the starting group, right? So the net retention is revenue coming from the same group, people we've kept. And net retention means like maybe a year later, right? So we had the starting group, and then a year later, how much revenue are we still earning from that group? And we can see that it's gone up from 100 to 111, so an increase of 11%. And this waterfall breaks out all the different changes that add up to create that plus 11%, right? So the red one is churn. Churn means loss of consumer, right? You had them, they were buying your product, they bought your products, and now they didn't come back. They've churned, okay? So minus 9%, that's a loss of revenue. Downsell, these are consumers who you still have, but they've decided to downgrade their product. They're spending less money, right? So someone used to be YouTube Premium, and now they've gone back to YouTube Music Free. So that's downsell. That's losses in revenue. Gains in revenue, upsell. So people who upgrade from YouTube Music Free to YouTube Music Premium, that would be an upsell. Or people who upgrade from the mid-range refrigerator to the top of the line refrigerator, that's an upsell. Cross-sell is selling that group of initial customers additional products in different product categories that your firm offers, right? So they used to be just a YouTube Music Premium customer, and then now they're also a YouTube Red or whatever customer, right? So kind of the additional membership fee. So you need to have multiple different product categories for you to get a positive cross-sell. And then when you add up all those things together, what you get is that net number. So when we look at this waterfall, it kind of gives us our objectives that we might want to achieve. Reduce churn. So stop people or incentivize people not to leave. reduce downsell, incentivize people not to downgrade their product. Upsell, and we want to increase that. So incentivize people to, increase or go for a higher quality product, pay more. Or cross-sell, right? Increase cross-sell. So these are kind of our 4 retention objectives, and our marketing communications may be designed to achieve those objectives, right? Like I identify a target group of consumers who are at risk of churning, who are at risk of leaving my product, and I target them with emails, or I target them with ads, or I target them with sales promotions, whatever, right? But that's my objective. Okay, so that's it for communication objectives. As I said, we're not going to talk about target audience because we should have already decided that at this point. So now we'll go on to execution, so designing a message. So designing a message, there's basically kind of 3 different ways you can design your message, 3 different appeals you can make to consumers. One's a rational appeal. That's like what we saw with New Era. That's like what we're seeing with this boat advertisement. It's describing characteristics. It's describing the value proposition, right? Very kind of like systematic description of the benefits and trying to ask you or tell you this is going to be the best, the highest CPV. Moral is a bit uncommon. Engaging with the product is kind of the right thing to do. That's going to be our message, right? So with this message, here we have like a nice counterpoint to our boat ad. Salvation Army is a charity. But you kind of see some firms sponsor charities to be able to make this kind of moral appeal, right? To have a message where you say, if you support us, it's the right thing to do because, every dollar you spend, some of that is going to go to a good cause, right? So moral is fairly small. You don't see a ton of moral messages, but when you do see them, they're typically combined with some kind of ecological or charity benefit. And then emotional, these are quite common. You're trying to sort of make that emotional connection so that your message connects with the consumer on their sort of feelings basis, right? On like a psychological level. So we have maybe these 3 different kinds of messages, these 3 different appeals we can make. But kind of a big problem when we're designing our message is cutting through all the other messages that are out there, right? Here, I just have some facts about advertising. Consumers see a lot of ads. Even a child sees a ton of ads every year. Consumers click very few of the online ads that they see. And a lot of Canadians, so almost 40% by 2021, use an ad blocker. So they're not even going to see the ads that you're trying to show them, right? So whether it's due to competition or whether it's due to using an ad blocker, most consumers don't pay attention to the ad that you're trying to show. So that main thing that your ad needs to do, get their attention, most ads fail to do, right? Designing your message can be an important way of trying to cut through the clutter, right? It's all about kind of like the message that you have, right? Does it grab people's attention or does it not? So there's kind of a few ways that you can do this. So on the left, here we have a news article that Netflix has a TV show, Nava Rasa, and they projected it, or they purchased advertising space on the side of the tallest building in the world, Burj Khalifa in Abu Dhabi, or no, Dubai. So, they're doing advertising in the usual way. This is not a message that is unusual to see, right? Just to see the name of the show. It's unusual to see it on the side of a building that's almost 1 kilometer tall, right? So you can do your usual message encoding, just a regular old ad, but spend a lot more money. That's maybe one way to break through all the clutter. Another way you can do it is spend almost no money, but have maybe like a very creative or viral hit. So let's take a look at a viral hit from within the last, say, 10 years or so.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
All right, there's a nice classic blast from the past for you guys. Dollar Shave Club, made for almost no money. I think it's, yeah, upward of like 20 or 30 million views on YouTube. So it went viral, definitely got them a lot of business, right? They broke through the clutter, but who could have predicted that that ad would be a huge success? I don't know, probably no one. So the formula for having a really good ad that cuts through the clutter is there is no formula, right? So you can't just sort of go viral. It just kind of happens when it happens, right?
Hi.
Okay, so let's take a look at another product. So this is the BMW Z3, and let's hear a little bit about that.
First, your new car. BMW. Agile 5 forward gears, all points radar. Self-destruct system, and naturally, all the usual refinements. Now, this I'm particularly proud of. Behind the headlights, Stinger missiles.
Excellent. Just the thing for unwinding after a rough day at the office.
Need I remind you, 007, that you have a license to kill, not to break the traffic laws?
I wouldn't think of it.
Good. Right, let's get on to more practical matters.
So we just heard a little information about the BMW Z3. What do you guys think of this advertisement? Or is this an advertisement at all? They spent a lot of time talking about the car, so it kind of feels like an ad. But what did we just watch? .007, yeah, so we just watched Pierce Brosnan in GoldenEye. So this was a clip from a movie. So not an advertisement. Product placement, right? A phrase that we're probably very familiar with when a product appears in a movie or a TV show, or basically in a context where we're not really expecting it, right? We're not expecting an ad. So this technique was basically pioneered by this advertising agency, Madison and Vine. The idea of advertainment or branded ad entertainment. The first one, advertainment, designing an ad that's so entertaining, so useful, so engaging that consumers actually want to watch them. That's one way to get attention, right? Red Bull is kind of famous for this. They have all these sponsored sports and extreme sports competitions where the Red Bull logo is everywhere. It's all sponsored by Red Bull. But you know, for some people, it's just fun to watch. So they're kind of seeing Red Bull everywhere, but it doesn't feel like an ad. Branded entertainment, that's product placement, right? Integrating the brand or the product into some other form of entertainment. Another way of getting people's attention, right? Cutting through the clutter. Here's an alternative way. And we're almost finished soon. We'll take a break soon. So here we have a sneaker, a Nike shoe, the LeBron 12, endorsed by LeBron James, right? Basketball player. His name is on the shoe. Makes total sense that he would endorse it. Here's a very different product, healthcare.gov. So that's the US government's website that you can go to search for a private healthcare insurance provider. This was a big feature of Obamacare in 2008. So they want people to be aware of this new product. They want people to sign up for health insurance through Obamacare. How do they do it? Well, they decide to go for a celebrity endorsement. Who do they pick? They pick LeBron James, right? So LeBron James is also the celebrity endorsement for healthcare.gov, right? Now, the first one makes a ton of sense, but the second endorsement also makes sense, right? Because the point of an endorsement is not necessarily that this person has expertise in the relevant area. For the shoes, we do think LeBron has expertise, but that's only a small portion of what makes a celebrity endorsement effective, right? Are they familiar? Are they trustworthy? Are they likable? Are they successful? And importantly, do they get people's attention? Do people care about what this person is doing, right? So that if they endorse something, people will be aware of it. So endorsements, celebrity promotions are another way of sort of getting people's attention. They are not the message in themselves, right? They're not the objective is not to have LeBron James endorse your product. For enough money, LeBron James will endorse your product, and that gets people attention. But your message still needs to have some other objective, right? Inform, persuade, or remind, or do something with the data-driven marketing funnel. Okay, so it's 2:03. We're going to break for 10 minutes. So we'll get back together at 2:13, and I'll stay in chat. All right, so let's continue on. So at this point, we've kind of talked through the marketing objectives, and we've talked through the kind of cutting through the advertising clutter. And my brain is just totally cooled off. Yeah, designing our message, right? Very good. So we've designed our message after we've chosen our objective. And now we're on to probably the biggest part of managing your communications process, which is choosing a medium. So like I said, there's two components to this. There is choosing your media type. So that would be choosing between TV, radio, print, online, mobile. That's fine. And then there's also choosing what kind of sort of promotional mix you're going to use, right? How much advertising versus personal selling, public relations, direct marketing, or sales promotion. So today, I'm just going to talk about, so we're going to start with advertising. I'll come to the other four types of promotion, but we're just going to talk about online and mobile advertising, because it's definitely the most important and probably what you guys would be doing if you decide to go into marketing after undergrad. So the types of online advertising, we have four kinds: classified, search, display, and email. So let's go through them one by one. For classifieds, this is the oldest style of online marketing. You know, when the web first came into being in like the 90s and the 2000s, people wanted to post advertisements the same way that they posted them in a newspaper, which were called classified ads. So ads listed by a private individual or firm on a dedicated platform. Still common for many products, right? Used goods and used cars. We can see in this plot on the right-hand side that when most people consider looking for a used car, about 40 to 43% of them start online. So start at a place like Kijiji or eBay, right? These are where people post classified ads. If you've ever tried to get rid of, you know, something old that you didn't want anymore, but you still think is worth something, you might have posted it to Kijiji or eBay. Classified ads, the benefit is that you save on fixed costs. So if you're a small business or not really a business at all, it costs you almost nothing to post a classified, and it's very easy for interested people to search, right? So you don't need to set up a website. You don't need to do any kind of promoting. You just post your ad and people will come to you. But if you're not a small, very tiny business, if you're anything bigger than a tiny business, then you might engage in a different kind of online advertising. So here's one: search advertising. These are ads that appear alongside the regular results, the algorithmic organic results on the search engine. So it's this stuff here. These are search advertising ads. We can tell this is a Google search. We see sponsored in the upper right for all of these different French presses. The benefit of search advertising is that it's very easy to target your chosen segment of consumers, right? If you try to buy search advertising ads from Google, how does it work? Well, you go to Google AdWords and you kind of specify what type of person you want to see your ads, right? So maybe someone who just searched for a French press, that's who you want to see your ads for a French press. Okay, and you say how much you're willing to pay for those ads. And if you're willing to pay the most, then people who search for a French press will see your ads. Google has all of that data, so you don't need to collect any of the information on your own. Google will know, here's all the segments. You just need to pick which one you want to target and how much you want to spend. So it makes targeting very, very easy, even if your own company doesn't have much data. An alternative to search advertising is search engine optimization, or SEO. SEO is the process of increasing the number of visitors to a website by increasing the visibility of your website to users of a particular search engine. So SEO focuses on getting your website as high as possible in the regular rankings, right? In all of the algorithmic results, not the sponsored results, but everything that appears below those first sponsored results. And we know from last lecture that boosting your ranking on a search results page will result in a lot more clicks, right? So compared to paying for a search ad from Google so that you appear right at the top as a sponsored ad, why might a company prefer to use search engine optimization to try to get their promotional message out? What's the benefit of pushing your name up the rankings in the non-sponsored section compared to just buying an ad? Two excellent reasons. It's free. It's sort of free. You do need to kind of put in some work to move yourself up the rankings, which will either cost you kind of internal resources or you can pay a company to do it. Definitely not getting blocked by ad block, huge benefit. Wayhouse says customers think it's more reliable, definitely. More believable, yeah. So, a lot of people just skip, even people who don't have an ad blocker, they just skip the sponsored stuff. They go right to the organic results because they trust it more, right? Next type of online advertising is probably the most common. It's display advertising. So display ads are things like banners, text, video, social media ads that appear either in your web browser or in apps that you're using. So on the right, what we can see is basically Facebook telling you, if you're a company and you want to show ads to consumers, they're showing you all the different ways that they can show ads. And these are all display advertising, right? So they can show it to you on the homepage, they can show it to consumers in the news feed, they can show it on mobile, they can show it during the logout experience, they can show it in all kinds of ways, right? You can pay Facebook to show your ads to a targeted group. That's totally fine. The group of people that you think are most likely to buy your ad or buy your product. Or you can show ads to people based on what website they happen to visit, right? If I go to the website French press coffee maker reviews.com, that gives a lot of contextual information to a company that's trying to sell a French press. They might then advertise on that website to get me to click their link and buy the French press from them. So that's a contextual display ad, right? The ad content matches the content of the website that the ad is appearing on. Versus a targeted ad, the content match, or the ad content matches kind of something about the profile of the consumer who's looking at the ad, right? Those are the kind of ads that follow you around. Contextual ads don't. So a benefit of display ads, again, easy targeting, right? Facebook has all the information that you need to figure out how to target people. So you don't need a ton of money to get really good targeted ads. Our fourth and final type of digital advertising is email and push notifications. And these are somewhat new. Ariana asks, is display ads limited to Facebook? No, display ads, Google does display ads, Facebook does display ads. Most apps will do display ads, right? Instagram will do display ads in your feed, although Instagram is owned by Facebook. Almost everyone does display ads. So email and push. Email advertising, these are notifications that are sent to a consumer's email address containing information, typically focused on retention, retaining consumers. So when we think of email advertising, you get all these emails to your email inbox. That's an email notification. And they're trying to oftentimes they're trying to retain you, because how did they get your email in the first place? Well, you must have signed up at some point, right? So they're trying to keep you engaged. And the benefit of email notifications is that they typically do have a pretty good conversion rate. So they're typically pretty good at turning potential buyers into repeat buyers, or sorry, potential buyers into new buyers, or past buyers into repeat buyers. Why? Because again, people have indicated that they're kind of willing to engage with the product, right? So yeah, back during the first loosening of lockdown in 2020, I started getting a lot of ads, a lot of email notifications from Cineplex saying, hey, you can come back to the movies. Push notifications are like email notifications. They're notifications that pop up on a consumer's mobile device containing information, right? Every time you get an alert on your phone from Gmail or from Instagram or from whatever, that's a push notification. So you might think, who can do push notifications? Well, unless I have an app, I can't do a push notification, right? I need to be a company that has an app in order to have a push notification. But that's not true, right? If you are a company that has an Instagram page, then if you post something, if people have their notifications turned on for Instagram, it'll pop up, right? Pop up that you just posted a photo on your Instagram company page, right? So push notifications can be completely effortless if you're already on a social media app, right? So that's a benefit of those. So lead magnets are something that's used in conjunction with an email notification campaign. The idea is you need to get people's email addresses before you can start sending them notifications. So how do you do that? Well, there's one industry in kind of the GTA that's famous for doing this, which is property developers. So here's a property developer, Berkshire Residences, boutique luxury in South Oakville. And you will only get information about these residences, these pre-built condos, if you give them your email. If you give them your email, then you'll get floor plans, pricing, when you can start buying, all of the stuff that you would want to know, right? So a lead magnet is a valuable piece of information like the condo floor plans given in exchange for contact information, which is usually an email address, right? Which works in conjunction with an email marketing campaign. You don't want to do a lead magnet if you're not going to be using the emails. The benefit here is that you're kind of filtering out people who are not too interested, right? Because only the people who are willing to give up their email to get this information are going to be on your mailing list. And they must really care, right? To give up their email, they must really care about getting this information. So they must be really interested. So lead magnets will give you maybe a higher quality mailing list that you can send email notifications to. Okay, that's advertising. Let's go through the next four fairly quickly, starting with sales promotion. So when you hear the word sales promotion, you might think, well, that just sounds like advertising. What's the difference? So advertising was a paid form of non-personal presentation and promotion. And advertising can serve any of those, inform, persuade, or remind objectives. Sales promotion are typically short-term incentives designed to encourage purchases, right? So sales promotions try to generate purchase behavior by offering a direct incentive to buy. So advertising can look like almost anything, but sales promotion typically looks like coupons or price cuts, or other monetary incentives or non-monetary incentives, right? Like sign up for this bank and deposit $1,000, get a free iPad. That would be a sales promotion. There's two ways of doing a sales promotion campaign. The first one is a pull promotion. So you're a company and you decide to give coupons and demonstrations to the end consumer. The end consumer then demands more of the product from the retailer, right? And so then the retailer orders more products from you, the firm, right? So they're kind of like, by advertising to the end consumer, it's kind of pulling more product through the pipeline. Push promotion is when you as the firm direct your sales promotion campaign at the retailer or reseller, right? So you say to the retailer, hey, you know, stock more of my product, I'll give you a discount, right? Or give me better feature advertising, give me better position in the store, and I'll give you a discount, right? This is a push style sales promotion because you're kind of pushing your product to the retailer, who then is going to sell it on to the final consumer. Right? These two things can build on the other, but in general, we do see a lot more pull promotion than push promotion. So that's sales promotion. Next, we have personal selling. So what is personal selling? That's personal customer interactions by the firm's sales force for the purpose of making sales and building customer relationships. Right? So when do you do personal selling? Because personal selling feels very different than any other kind of advertising or any other kind of promotion, right? It's one-on-one, it's person to person, which means it's very expensive, right? It costs a lot of money to have a salesperson spend their time talking to a customer, and you can only reach one customer at a time. So it's expensive and kind of inefficient. So when do you do it? Well, if service is a key part of your market offering, you're going to want to do personal selling. If customers have very, very different needs, so that you're kind of have to do a custom process for each person, you're going to want to do personal selling. And for expensive products, you're going to want to do personal selling, right? So things like a car is still one of the biggest areas where we as consumers can experience personal selling, right? We do experience a little bit of it when we purchase kind of higher end, more expensive things like appliances and TVs as well, right? We have kind of a trained salesperson come up to us, try to figure out what we want, and then try to promote the product that either they think is best or that they want to promote. So that's personal selling. Next, second to last, we have public relations. So public relations as part of your promotional mix, what does that mean? That means building good relationships to obtain favorable publicity, right? Could also mean building up a good corporate image and handling maybe some, if there's rumors about your company, trying to handle those and keep bad stories or events out of the news and put good stories in the news, right? So typically we think of press relations, you know, the company trying to get newspapers or magazines or journals to post information about their product as kind of like a neutral source of information. We also see, you know, lobbying the government, and yeah, that's quite large. So here we have Qualcomm, you know, they have their blog, the OnQ blog, and they have this kind of very neutral article about 5G latency. So they're not trying to sell Qualcomm products, but Qualcomm makes products that work in 5G networks. So they're trying to say 5G is really good, like here's all the great things about 5G, hoping that that will give you a favorable impression of 5G, which will, you know, inform you. And then when you go out looking for a phone, you'll end up buying something that has a Qualcomm chip in it. Right? Similar thing, here's Microsoft, their initiative. They're trying to help 25 million people worldwide acquire digital skills. So they're kind of doing a promotion here, but it's through public relations, right? It's kind of a neutral news article about a charitable campaign from Microsoft, right? Here we can kind of see maybe a more complete picture of the communications process, right? Their objective here is to remind people maybe about Microsoft and maybe inform them that Microsoft products are good for digital skills needed in the COVID-19 economy. Their message is an ethical message, right? Engaging with Microsoft is the right thing to do because it's a good company that does the right thing. And they've chosen to do that through public relations, not through advertising, right? So kind of a complete picture there of a strategy of Microsoft for their communications. All right, last thing is direct marketing. We'll highlight this briefly. Direct marketing is a marketing channel without intermediaries. It's consumers interacting directly with your brand on an individual basis. It's rapidly growing and rapidly evolving. In the old days, this would have been rolled in with face-to-face selling or personal selling. These days, though, you don't need to interact with a salesperson to interact directly with a brand, right? You can do it on Twitter. You can do it on social media. You can do it on Instagram by commenting, liking. Basically, it's sort of this, you can think of direct marketing as kind of being more of like a two-way interaction between the brands and the consumer that doesn't have an intermediary in it, versus sort of the one directional sort of ads come from the firms to the consumer, which you see in advertising settings, right? So with that said, I wanted to leave plenty of time for our survey results. So, because this is one of the last weeks you'll have to basically, this week and next week are it for participation. So I wanted to give more people a chance to speak up about their answers. So if you haven't, so I'm going to do what I usually do, which is call on some people who haven't yet spoken about their answers to the survey. But I encourage you, if you have not spoken yet this semester, when we're on your answer, to raise your hands and maybe see what you can contribute to the discussion. And then we can kind of go from there. So advertising was by far the most popular response when I asked you guys to think about what should Tesla's marketing communications mix look like when they're trying to advertise the Model Y, or when they're trying to promote the Model Y. So let's start with the biggest one. Let's start with advertising. So I think, yeah, is Aodong, I think Aodong is here.
Oh, yes.
Hey, so you said advertising. So why don't you kick it off? Why advertising?
I will think about improve the information recognition.
So you're thinking it's advertising would be the best way to inform consumers.
Yes.
Why is informing consumers? Why do you think that's the best objective here?
Because the Model Y is like a brand new product, and the people barely know anything about it. So I'm thinking like, giving out more information will help people like who are interested in buying electric car.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Aodong. That makes total sense. We advertise, we convey information, new products. So feels like we can kind of succeed by advertising, succeed in that objective. Let me see. Is Jiecheng? Is Jiecheng here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I think like advertising is the most efficient way and easiest way for Tesla to to reach as many people as possible, because I guess Model Y is kind of for everyone, not everyone, but for the like many market segment. So I think like reaching as many people as possible and doing it in an efficient way is what Tesla is looking for.
That's interesting. So kind of reaching as many people as possible. And advertising can definitely do that, right? With TV ads or things like that.
Yeah.
Why do you think reaching as many people as possible is a good thing to do? Because the Model Y, right, it's the SUV, right? It's an electric SUV.
Yeah.
So it might not be for everyone, right?
Right, but it's not for like a small market share, but I guess it's for many people. Like even if it's not everyone, but it's I guess it's the most efficient way to do it.
I think that's a good point. I mean, yeah, even if it's not for everyone, like there's still a lot of people who might be
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Good answer. Thanks, Jiecheng. And I think in the chat we have some kind of enriching of that as well with like, Tesla is a multinational company. They sell around the world. So you might want to reach multiple geographies at once. So is there anyone else who chose advertising? The preference for people who haven't spoken up yet this semester, who want to add to the discussion on why advertising might be the best choice. Okay, so I do see people kind of just putting stuff in chat. But kind of the purpose of these case studies has always been, you answer online, but then we kind of discuss your answer together, right? Yeah. Anyone else for advertising? Yeah, Shangyi.
Yeah, I also chose advertising, and I agree with some comments in the chat that I think potential customers are a big part of the purpose of advertising, because I think there's a lot of people who want to buy cars, but they are hesitating on which model they want to choose. So I do think advertising can like emphasize the advantages of the Model Y, and just helping them making decisions about which one to buy.
Okay, so it can serve a persuasive role.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's a great point. Car competition, like competition between car manufacturers, is very big, right? There's a lot of different options.
Yeah.
Yeah. So persuading is important.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Shangyi. Yeah, Severin.
Yes, Prof. I just wanted to mention that I agree with most of the comments in the chat, but I also wanted to say that, like in the reading, it says that it lacks persuasiveness since it's a one-way communication process. But I kind of favored it in this case, advertising, since there's no geographical limit. And although it can be costly, but compared to the other marketing methods, it's relatively cheap.
Okay, yeah, so cost effective, can reach them at like a huge geography. That makes sense. Yeah, okay, Xinyi.
I think the advertising is more fit for this, because to promote Tesla Model Y, it is designed to be a smaller SUV than the Model X, and it is designed to fit a big target market of family luxury SUV. And the personal selling and sales promotion does not really fit in Tesla's marketing objective, since it is designed to fit everyone and doesn't really need to give promotion in its current state in the market.
A good answer. So you're kind of, I think this is a great answer, because you're not only saying like why you chose advertising, but why advertising is like better in your opinion than the other options. Yeah, so I think that's a good way to kind of tie it all together. So thanks, Cindy.
Yeah.
So I guess before we move off of advertising, does anyone know, does Tesla have a big advertising campaign right now for their current cars? Does Tesla do a lot of advertising? Right. We typically think of car manufacturers as having a lot of ads. But what about Tesla? Yeah, so not really, not a lot. I've never seen a Tesla ad on like TV or anything like that personally. I think maybe I've seen them on a billboard once or twice. More on social media, and they do publicity stunts, like launching the Tesla into space. Yeah. What does launching the Tesla into space count as in terms of, do we call that an advertisement? Should we call that an ad? Maybe not. Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I mean, for everyone who's thinking about advertising as being the main thing to do, I think one thing that I'd want to see if you were kind of saying that in a marketing project is, why they should start doing a big advertising campaign compared to all the things what they used to do, which is very little advertising, but a lot of publicity. So let's go on to the second biggest category, which is direct and digital. So let's see who we have here. Is Zhiyuan Lin?
Yeah, so I think Tesla should employ direct and digital marketing because, they should cater towards specific customer groups. I mean, that is the purpose of Tesla's, their philosophy, right? It's to cater towards like electric car enthusiasts.
Right. So a much more targeted approach compared to like a broad advertising.
Customer group. Yeah.
Okay. Were you also thinking about kind of this two-way communication, like the sort of social media interactions, or were you mostly thinking about targeting?
Definitely.
Yeah. So what do you see as kind of the advantages of that social media based?
Well, it's more personal. It generates more engagement from the customers, and that helps build long-term customer relationships.
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Zhiyuan. So let's see. We have. So I think Aryan, I'm gonna hold off on you because I think you've already answered in previous lectures. Is Alex Xiao here? Okay, no, Alex. Who else? Nokian.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so I think personal selling suits Tesla's model more because they're already a market leader in the EV sector. So I don't think advertising would really add a lot of value. So by personalizing like their sales towards like individual customers, it would cater more towards the market of like luxury EV because customers are more like they will expect more like specific services and yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, it is kind of a luxury price point. So people buying it at that level, they expect service, right? And like we said, personal selling matters if there's that expectation of service. So yeah. I guess also, okay, so yeah, I see it for personal selling. I guess before we go off of direct and digital, is there anyone else who had a direct and digital answer who wants to sort of add to those reasons? Yeah, Lei?
Professor, could you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I am thinking use the direct and digital marketing because most of the buyer or the customer maybe follow their social media, like the Tesla social media before, because they are interested in their old products, maybe like Tesla X or the Model 3. So if we use the direct and digital marketing, it will be like much useful to the accurate target market, like this people who follow the social media as our accurate target market, who may be interested in the product. So I think they were also interested in the new product. So the digital marketing, I think, is much useful than the original advertising.
Interesting. So in your feeling is that maybe the main target market for the Model Y are people who either already have a product or who are already following.
Yeah, who already have the interested in the Tesla products.
Okay, so yeah, and I mean that makes sense. And we know that kind of the Tesla social media is it always succeeds at getting like a lot of attention, right? Like whatever Elon Musk tweets, people look at. So yeah, that makes sense. All right, awesome. Thank you, Lei. Yeah, Jingyi.
Yes, I also chose the direct and detailed marketing. So I think most of the Tesla target market are young people who like high technology. So I think most of them will follow the social media a lot. Also, as you mentioned, like the CEO of the Tesla has a lot of followers in Twitter, so he can tweet to promote the Model Y.
I like that answer. Yeah, I think what I like is that like, you've made a decision about what the target market is, like young people. That's where you think the focus is. And this is a good way to reach that group. So that makes sense to me. Yes, so Jian?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
The reason of I chose the direct marketing is because I think that many people already know the Tesla brand, and some people even went to the store and see the car on display, even test drive it. So I think the people already have the current understanding of the Tesla brands and products, and they also know the advantage of the Tesla electronic cars. However, some people still considering to replace their current vehicles. So I think the Tesla should focus on this group of people who already went to the store, test driving, and asking the staff for more information. They are really interesting about the cars and this brand. So I think that Tesla should more focus on this group of people.
And you think that the right way to do that would be through kind of a digital marketing, like a targeting campaign?
Yeah.
Or more so like social media?
On social media.
On social media. Okay. All right, cool. Good. So thanks, Jian. So I think we already had Nok-in tell us a bit about personal selling. Is there anyone else who chose personal selling? Because yeah, now we're into kind of the very unpopular answers. So I think Nok-in said, yeah, personal selling because of the service component, right? It's a high price luxury car. You're going to want to be sure that like the service is going to be a high quality. So personal selling can help achieve that. Was there anyone else who chose personal selling who wants to kind of add to that reasoning? Okay, so then let's see, we have public relations. So we have two people chose public relations. Is Xinyi here? Xinyi Fan?
Hello?
Hey, we can hear you, but you're a bit quiet.
Oh, okay. What about now?
That's a bit better.
Okay, so I chose public relation because from the website I can see that the features Tesla Y and Model Y is advertising on is safety and autopilot, which people may have doubts with, and I think doing public relations like hiring famous people to test drive it and advertise it may help prove the good quality and build a good image for the company. It can be costly and it may not reach wide range of audience, but I think because the price of this model is kind of high up there and it's not for everyone, so it may just cancel out the costs thing.
I think that's a great answer, very complete. Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, that's a great point. There's a lot of new features in the car. Some of them, people might have doubts about safety. So anything like that, you want like an outside source, right? Something that seems neutral or has some authority to say, you know, here's what it is. It works like this. It's good, right? So public relations doing it through like news releases or independent blogs, that makes a lot of sense. That's a great point. So I think, you know, realistically, the marketing, like the communications mix of Tesla will have all of these things included to some degree or another, but you can kind of see different ones reach different target markets and achieve different objectives. So I think this is a good discussion. We only have one person who answered sales promotion, and it's PayPay. But I think I called on PayPay either last class or the class before. So I won't ask them to speak up now. So instead, we'll kind of finish up the lecture with a determination of the budget. This is almost beyond the scope of the course. There's very little to help you think about how should you determine your marketing budget. Ideally, what you would like to do is think, okay, how effective is my advertising, right? How much money do I get for every dollar I spend on advertising? And how quickly does that decrease, right? If I spend more and more, is it a decreasing return? And then figure out what's the amount you should spend to maximize your return. That's almost never a possibility for you to do. Because it's really hard to measure how effective an advertisement is. And for something like awareness, right? What even is the value of someone being aware, right? We might be able to measure the value of someone buying, but just a person now knowing about the brand, whereas before they didn't know about the brand, it's hard to measure how effective or how much money that contributes. So it's hard to know how much to budget. There are ways to do it, but it's for a future course. It's much too much to think about here. Suffice it to say, it's tied to the idea of we need to know how effective our ads are in order to make a decision. So let's look at some simple examples, some kind of toy examples, and then we'll be kind of done with the class, and I'll talk about what's coming up next. So here, I want to emphasize online advertising again as where we might be spending our money. So we might want to choose between 3 different display ad payment options, okay? And this is kind of just a sort of example to show you what choosing a budget can look like. There's 3 options for display ads. Depending on how people interact with the ads, you may want to pay in a different way. So cost per mil is an option offered by, say, Facebook and Google. What that means is you pay a dollar amount per 1,000 ad views. So you pay a certain amount of money for 1,000 people to see your ad. And that's the only interaction that you're paying for, just for them to see it. Cost per like, or CPL, that means that you pay, let's say Facebook, you pay them a certain amount of money every time a user actually clicks like on your ad. So it's not enough for them to just see it. You don't pay Facebook if they just see the ad. You only have to pay Facebook if they click like, right? That can be a little more expensive, right? Instead of just seeing it, they have to like it. So Facebook wants more money for an ad like that. Cost per click is the most expensive, and there you pay a dollar amount for each time a user clicks on the ad and goes to your website, right? That's the most expensive. So how should you spend your budget? Well, it depends on your objective. If your objective is to inform, then getting people to just see the ad can be enough. So you may want to pay on a cost per mil basis, just for people to see it. If you're trying to persuade people, then cost per like or cost per click, right? You actually want people to follow up and go to your website to choose to engage with your brand. So you're going to pay them, you're going to pay based on a like or a click basis. And if you're just trying to remind, then again, you can just pay cost per mil. You just want people to see the ad so that they're reminded. So just to clarify who's paying who, you're the company, right, who's trying to sell the product. You pay Facebook. Facebook shows the ads to the consumers, right? But you're paying Facebook. You're either paying Facebook based on people seeing the ad or liking the ad or clicking the ad. You're only going to buy ads if the customer value exceeds the cost, right? So here's an example that's kind of fully worked through that you guys can do on your own, which I encourage you to take a look at. If you have questions, feel free to come to office hours and we can talk about it, right? But it should be fairly complete for you guys to work through. So you can buy ads through Facebook. We've already kind of discussed that. They give you all the information. And after you've kind of purchased all your ads and you've kind of done your campaign, then you can look at feedback, right? Did I sell more products? Did I hit my key performance indicators, right? Did I achieve those data-driven marketing objectives? These are all things you want to know so that the next time you design your communication strategy, you have a better idea of what to do, right? So here's the kind of feedback you'd want to collect. So that's it for the lecture. Next week, we're doing a case study and we'll be doing review. So we're going to go through everything in the course because the final exam is going to cover everything in the course. There will be an emphasis on the last half of the course, but it will cover everything. Group projects will happen 2 weeks from now. So the first set of people will present in 2 weeks on November 25th. I've already made an announcement. If you want to volunteer to go on the 25th, you can do that. Send me an email. If you want to go on the 2nd, don't send me an email. Just wait and see. If there's enough people who want to go on the 25th, you'll go on the 2nd. If there's not, then it'll be randomly assigned. Okay. And then reports are due later. And then the final exam is going to happen a few days after that. Okay. So that's it for the rest of the course. So I'm done for now. If you have questions, I'll stay around for a few minutes, but otherwise, I'll see you guys next week for the case.